First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
A Michigan man has been charged with 6 counts of murder after a deadly shooting rampage.
The death of a 6-year-old has a Florida family pleading for help.
And the Marion County Sheriff's Office is opening a new room to keep domestic violence victims safe. We'll have a look at the space coming up. But first, local law enforcement needs your help in finding an armed robbery suspect. That's our top story tonight. Good evening. It's February 22nd. I'm Marie Ettinger.
And I'm Taylor Trichet. Thanks for joining us. 2 armed men robbed workers at the Black Hawk Internet Cafe in Palatka late last week. Officials say at least one of the suspects was armed. After reviewing surveillance footage, deputies identified and arrested 25-year-old Derek Tobler. Officials say Tobler's accomplice was also identified as 29-year-old Antonio Tobler. Deputies say Antonio is wanted on active warrants, and anyone with information is asked to call the Putnam County Sheriff's Office.
If you need an injunction to help escape domestic violence, the process can be problematic for someone already endangered. But one area sheriff's office is trying to make the process a bit more comfortable for the victim. Ryan Roberts joins us now with more about what he saw today in Marion County. Ryan?
Marie, the sheriff's office has decided to earmark a room for a special purpose, so victims can help work on their paperwork in a safe place.
This small room with a TV and toys is being called a domestic violence injunction room. The goal is to provide a safe and comfortable space for someone while filling out the 20-plus pages of paperwork needed to apply for an injunction. It all started with one observation from one man.
I would see the victim sitting out in an open area filling out this paperwork. You know, thinking about the victim and thinking about possible suspect coming into the facility at the same time, if he or she is aware that the person is here doing that paperwork, you know, could lead up to an incident.
The room can be locked from the inside to increase safety. The space has toys for children and information for victims looking to get help. The room can also be used for a private meeting place for victims to meet with their crisis counselor.
I was very excited when Major Rolls and the other parties involved proposed the idea. And I thought that would be really great because we're really lacking in that. We need a space that's special.
Major Rolls came up with the idea just 2 months ago, and he's excited to see his idea already come to fruition.
It's just an awesome thing, and I'm glad to work for an agency that is a forward-thinking agency that backed us up and helped us create this room for our victims.
There have already been 145 injunctions issued this year in Marion County, but now those victims have a place just for them. Marie?
Thank you, Ryan. The Florida Forest Service is fighting a Duval County wildfire that spread across more than 600 acres. They tweeted out these pictures of the damage today. You can see burnt trees and land, but the Forest Service says no structures are threatened, luckily. The wildfire is near Cecil Field in Duval County. Officials say by now it's about 70% contained, though the cause is still under investigation.
The 4-mile widening of State Road 40 west of Ocala is taking several months longer than expected, and Zika fears have become part of the equation. During the construction, it's harder to get on and off the road, especially for trucks, leading to complaints by business owners and commuters. One worker says the project is taking longer than expected for reasons out of their control.
The delays to the rain, the lay-bite to the weather, a lot of things and stuff. It was just horrible this year because of the weather conditions.
The roadway is getting a new drainage system, but the old drains have backed up during heavy rains, leaving standing water and concerns about mosquitoes potentially spreading diseases like Zika. When the work is complete, perhaps next month, the divided highway will have signal upgrades and bike lanes.
And you can be on the lookout for more delays other than that construction. Weather over these next couple of days is not going to be pretty.
Not at all. WUFT's Brittany Van Voorhees joins us now from the Weather Center with a look where a brief shower could be tonight.
Well, ladies, already seeing a couple spotty showers. When I say a couple, only about 1 or 2 on radar. So east of Ocala down in Marion County, seeing a couple spotty showers and just west of Flagler Beach. Now, not seeing anything in rain just yet, but I am telling you that the chance will continue through this afternoon. Very low, only about a 20% chance through midnight, but after midnight, temperatures will slightly start to increase, or chances for rain will slightly start to increase till about 30. However, still going to be a very warm and humid night overnight, with temperatures only dropping in to the upper 50s. Now, you can see on my future track for this afternoon, a couple spotty showers are possible for many areas across north and central Central Florida, but after midnight, those chances do slightly start to increase. And then check it out, by your drive to work. So tomorrow at 6 a.m., we are going to see the chance for rain pretty much around the region. So we'll continue to track those chances a little bit closer. Coming up after the break, I'll let you know how long it's going to last. Back to you.
Thank you, Brittany. An Uber driver accused of shooting 8 people in Michigan has made his first appearance in court. Prosecutors say they think they know what happened, but they're still trying to figure out why. Investigators say 45-year-old Jason Dalton, a husband and father of 2 and an Uber driver, admitted to being their guy. Prosecutors in Kalamazoo say Dalton killed 6 and injured 2 others in a span of 6 hours on Saturday night, all while continuing to give rides to passengers. The 8 victims were shot in 3 separate locations. He is charged with 6 counts of murder plus 2 counts of assault with intent to murder, along with weapons charges. Uber says Dalton passed a background check, and police officers say he has no prior criminal record.
And around the state, a family is pleading for help in finding the person who shot and killed their son outside their home, even offering a $25,000 reward for answers in 6-year-old King Carter's case. Hatzel Vela has that story.
Exactly 24 hours later, back in the very same spot, a father retells that story.
When I heard the shots, I ran out the house. I ran everywhere around here asking, where's King? And me, I had to find my son in the corner with his eyes open.
Vigils for those killed senselessly are somber. They're sad. But in this case, there was anger and outrage, not just over the loss of 6-year-old King Carter, who was shot down Saturday afternoon, but also at the continuous violence seen out in this community.
I am sick, and I am tired.
King's aunt, not mincing words, telling us in her family 4 people have been murdered in the streets of Miami.
A 6-year-old, and the community is silent? No. A 6-year-old, and the community didn't see anything in broad open daylight?
The teacher by trade says 3 of her students have been shot.
60 over 12 months.
School Superintendent Alberto Cavallo reminds us there have been more than 60 kids shot, 24 killed in the last 12 months. Hip-hop artist and Miami native Luther Campbell sending a strong message to the crowd.
They don't just shoot just to shoot. Let's keep it real out here.
Someone was the target, he says. Someone knows the triggerman. These people refuse to let gunshots drown out their pleas, marching a block to the elementary school King attended. His parents up front. At the end, a moment of prayer.
In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Also in Miami, a woman was left in a coma after being severely beaten and nearly stabbed to death on Valentine's Day. Investigators say she was attacked by her roommate who'd moved in just a week before. She'd found 35-year-old Byron Mitchell through Craigslist. Byron dialed 911 saying he'd killed Jones in self-defense, but officers say he hit Jones's head against a floor repeatedly and choked her. He's been charged with attempted murder. Reports show 23-year-old Danielle Jones is showing signs of improvement today, opening her eyes and blinking, but she still may have major brain damage. Hundreds of protesters are speaking out against the discharge of Lake Okeechobee water into the St. Lucie River. They marched on the Stewart Causeway yesterday, fighting for the water below them in the Indian River Lagoon. They say high water levels in Lake Okeechobee threaten the aging dike and the residents protected by it. On top of that, they say the poor quality water that discharges can present health risks for animals in the rivers. Water managers tried minimizing the damaging discharges by storing water elsewhere, but they've run out of room, and rising water levels already have wildlife seeking higher ground in southwest Palm Beach County and farther south.
In February 1856, a father buried his 10-day-old baby girl on a piece of land he owned in Gainesville. The place became Evergreen Cemetery, and 106 years later, it's still sacred ground. WUFT's Maggie Lawrence shows us the anniversary event this past weekend.
Normally, you don't find so much music and cheer in a place used for reflection or grieving. But there was joy in Evergreen Cemetery on Sunday as visitors and historians honored its history.
This is the celebration of the 160th anniversary of the cemetery itself. The first burial occurred on the 24th of February, 1856.
James T. Thomas and his wife buried their 10-day-old baby, Elizabeth Jane, on property that would later become Evergreen Cemetery.
More than 10,000 people have been buried here in the 160 years.
History enthusiasts and people with family buried in the cemetery are some of those who attended.
And I read about the event on Facebook and learned more about the cemetery, and it seemed like an interesting thing to do.
My grandparents are buried here with some aunts and uncles.
The founder, James Thomas's great-grandson, was present to honor his great-grandfather.
Very, very proud. Of course, I never knew him.
The first burial in the cemetery was a baby. Now Evergreen is working to restore a part of the cemetery reserved only for babies. A focus of the event was the Babyland Renewal Initiative, which strives to place granite headstones on the unmarked graves of infants. The cemetery has already placed 20 new headstones on 165 of the unmarked burials.
It was just wonderful to see them all lined up right where they're supposed to be.
Evergreen plans to unveil a statue of an angel, one of the final steps of the initiative, at an association meeting next month. Maggie Lorenz, WUFT News.
Those wishing to learn more about the Renewal Initiative can visit thiswondrousplace.org.
WUFT News First at 5 is just getting started. Coming up, none of us like paying for parking tickets, and the number being issued is climbing. We'll have that story for you in 2 minutes.
Plus, a major music star takes a big hit in court. Those stories and more entertainment news coming up after the break.
I'm also tracking another night with warm temperatures, but spotty showers are possible. Coming up, I'll let you know how long these rain chances are going to last.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome back. Parking tickets in Gainesville can be as high as $325, according to the city's parking service.
Revenue from parking citations averages more than $500,000 each year in Gainesville. WUFT's Leah Shields joins us from the newsroom to tell us what happens to all that money.
Well, all the money flows right back into the Gainesville community, according to officials with Public Works. One interesting fact, though, from 2010 to 2013, the number of citations had trended downward. But in 2014 and 2015, the numbers rose significantly from the year before and are on track to increase again in 2016.
The last time I got a ticket, I was parking at work, and I work across.
Many people have similar stories. More than 17,000 similar stories in Gainesville just last year. There are so many ways to get a parking citation, it's hard to count.
We have a number of metered spaces, as well as people can be fined for parking in handicapped spaces, as well as in different parking zones that we have throughout the city for residential neighborhoods. Some apartment complexes, they have on-street parking, and the city does have different parking decals that can be purchased. So if you don't have a decal, then of course you could be ticketed.
The number of tickets issued from 2014 to 2015 jumped from just below 12,000 to more than 17,000, generating a revenue increase from 582,000 to 835,000. That's almost a 47% increase in tickets in 1 year. City officials say they can't narrow down the reason for the increase, but do say there's been an increase in construction in some areas that may have contributed to people parking illegally. So where does your money go?
The money gets put back into the City of Gainesville's general fund.
But parking revenue is less than 1% of the overall general fund.
The money from your parking citation could go into funding local parks like this one, or it could help GPD purchase a new patrol car.
I asked a Gainesville resident how 17,000 tickets a year sounds.
I would not be surprised because they are always out there ticketing us.
And according to the Public Works Department, construction of new apartments around town has the city looking for new parking options. Chip Skinner says if parking is limited, RTS bus passes for residents could be their only option in the future. Reporting live from the newsroom, Leah Shields, WUFT News.
Thank you, Leah. And hopefully maybe if people were saving money on parking tickets, they'd have more money to visit the movies. We actually have some new box office numbers in today.
Crystal Bailey joins us with movies and some news about Kesha's lawsuit.
Well, before I get to that, those who knew Harper Lee gathered this weekend to put her to rest. A private funeral was held over the weekend for Harper Lee, the author of To Kill a Mockingbird. She died Friday at the age of 89, but her legacy is a Pulitzer Prize-winning story that many consider the great American novel. An old manuscript was recovered to form a sequel released last year, and her private funeral was held in her hometown, Monroeville, Alabama. Now, Taylor Swift is giving $250,000 to pop star Kesha to support her legal battle against her producer. Kesha is trying to get out of a contract with mega hit producer Dr. Luke. She says he sexually assaulted her. The producer denies it, and a judge ruled that there's not enough evidence to let her out of the contract. Other stars have endorsed the Free Kesha movement. The record company says she's already free to work with another producer. It took nearly 3 months, but Kim Kardashian has finally released a picture of her baby boy. She posted a picture of 11-week-old son, Saint West, for the first time on her late father's birthday. Posted on her website, she wrote, "Today is my dad's birthday. I know there's nothing in the world more than he would want than to have meet his grandchildren." And the top 3 movies at the box office this weekend were Marvel's Deadpool, DreamWorks' Kung Fu Panda, and the biblical drama Risen. Bringing in $55 million in its second weekend, Deadpool could become the most successful R-rated movie in history. The comic book adaptation about a foul-mouthed superhero has already made almost $500 million globally since its release. And taking second place this weekend is Kung Fu Panda 3, earning $12.5 million in its fourth weekend. The animated sequel is probably coming off the box office success train next weekend when the next family movie, Zootopia, opens up. And the faith-based drama Risen debuted this weekend with $11.8 million in ticket sales. The film tells the biblical story of a Roman soldier investigating what happened to the body of Jesus after the crucifixion. Well, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the movies that have come out recently.
Oh yeah, I actually just saw Deadpool this past weekend. It was a good laugh. I liked it a lot.
I haven't seen that one yet. I'm actually debating whether I should see it in IMAX or in regular theaters.
Go for IMAX. That'd be fun.
I'll have to check it out. All right, thanks, Crystal.
All right, that string of nice, warm, dry days has come to an end.
And in its place, we could see some thunderstorms. Brittany Van Voorhees joins us in the Weather Center with a look at risky weather we may see over the next 2 days.
Yes, ladies, so if you're not a fan of rain or thunderstorms, definitely get out and enjoy tonight if you can. There still is a chance to see a spotty shower or two. Currently on radar, we are seeing a couple spotty showers just east of Ocala down in Marion County. However, over the next couple of hours, we're going to see those chances remain in the 20 and 30% mark. And then about 2 a.m., we're going to see that chance increase with a couple showers possible even more. So definitely going to be watching this over the next couple of hours. But by Tuesday morning, that's when we're really going to start to see some rainfall moving in. So down in South and Central Florida, we're seeing a couple spotty showers more on Monday night. That chance will increase as we get throughout the day. As we get throughout this evening here in Gainesville, a couple spotty showers possible. But check out what's happening all over in the Gulf. As we start to see some of this rainfall moving into Gainesville, that's right around your morning drive tomorrow. So definitely something to be aware of as you head out the door. Now, we might get a bit of a break as that does start to clear out, but a couple rounds are possible, and that will continue throughout the day on Tuesday. Here we are still seeing some rainfall in Gainesville, Orlando, down in Fort Pierce. But even stronger rain comes in on Wednesday with even more chance to see some rainfall on Wednesday afternoon. With our next front moving through, we can kind of start to see this line of showers starting to develop by midnight on Wednesday. And there is a chance to see some severe weather associated with these systems. So on Tuesday night, the best chance will be over in the Panhandle. By the time we get to Wednesday morning, Gainesville will be in the chance to see some scattered severe weather risks, such as wind damage, small hail, and even possibly an isolated tornado. Now, southern and central and south Florida, so south of Orlando and Tampa, not as high of a chance, but we're still going to be watching that here at WRUF and WUFT. So a perfect time to stay weather aware. Download Florida Storms, the free app from the Florida Public Radio Emergency Network. Facebook and Twitter, you can follow us with the handle at UF Weather to continue to get updates on the system as it develops. So confidence isn't as high of whether or not we're going to see significant severe weather on Wednesday, but we're going to continue to keep watching it. Rain tracker not looking too strong here. We're seeing less of an inch here in Gainesville and Tampa, as well as up in Tallahassee, but central portions of Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi will definitely see about 2 to 3 inches possible. So for them, we're definitely going to be hoping that they don't see that much rain. So isolated showers for tomorrow. Rain will be likely, and then the chance to see possible thunderstorms is likely on Tuesday. Only about a 50% chance of rain possible. By Wednesday, the chance of rain does increase with the next front moving through. Some of those could be strong. And by Thursday and Friday, we'll start to see temperatures cool down. Saturday and Sunday, we'll start to see them continue to cool, but then a slight warm up by the beginning of next week.
All right, thank you so much, Brittany. Well, it was a busy weekend in Gator sports. So many different teams were in action.
So we bring in WUFT sports anchor Connor Ingalls.
That's right. I'll try to catch you guys up on everything that went down. The big story on campus this weekend was Gator baseball. The nation's #1 team opened up their season at home. We'll recap their series with Florida Gulf Coast and much more coming up in sports after the break. Five preseason All-Americans, 2 top 10 draft prospects, the nation's #1 ranking. There's a lot of hype around this year's Florida Gator baseball team. Their first series on the diamond lived up to it. Welcome back to sports. I'm Connor Ingalls. The Gators hosted Florida Gulf Coast over the weekend and got a clean sweep of the Eagles. Florida outscored FGCU 24-9 in 3 games, capped off with a big 12-3 win on Sunday. Freshman second baseman Deacon Lippett was the star of the series, raking in 7 RBI on 5 hits. The star-studded pitching staff also showed off, combining for 35 strikeouts over the weekend. Head coach Kevin O'Sullivan is happy his team came out focused in all 3 games.
From the weekend, I'm really pleased. We've got obviously a lot of things to work on, but the thing about college baseball, there's no exhibition games, so you really quite don't know what you're going to see because it's not the same as practice.
Sully's club will be back in action tomorrow when they host Eastern Michigan. The #1 Florida softball team also had a successful weekend on the diamond, going 5-0 in the Diamond Citrus Classic in Orlando. It wasn't quite the same story on the hardwood for Florida. The men were at South Carolina looking to get an NCAA tournament resume solidifying road win. If you don't know, now you know that did not happen. The Gamecocks came out like gangbusters, whatever that actually means. SC was up 30-13 in the first half, but give Florida credit, they battled back. And when I say back, I mean back and then some. The Gators went on a 20-0 run to close the half with a lead. Devin Robinson finishes it off here with a 3 in the closing seconds. That was the biggest run of the season for the Gators. South Carolina didn't shy away, though. Michael Carrera hits the deep tray to put the Gamecocks back on top with 8 minutes remaining. Carrera had a game-high 20 points. That got everybody going, including Carrera. Wait on. Hold up. Pause this. Oh, my goodness. I think I see the issue here. The Muschamp curse. It continues to haunt Florida athletics. They can't escape it. The teams continue to go back and forth through regulation and into overtime. Down 3, the Gators have one more chance. It's Chioza, but he can't hit it. South Carolina holds on. Despite the loss, Gators head coach Mike White isn't down on his team.
I don't think I could ask for guys to play much harder. I think we're flying around, defending at a high level, attacking the offensive glass, throwing our bodies around defensively. I'm really pleased with the effort right now.
Another chance to boost their tourney resume tomorrow night in the Yodome when they take on a Vandy team that's also on the bubble. And the Gator women's team also had a rough time away from home. You get it? Like they're playing the Bulldogs. Rough. My mom tells me I'm funny. Florida led for most of the first half, but the defense faltered after the break. After scoring only 27 points at halftime, Georgia put 47 up in the second half. Not a good thing to happen to the Gators in the midst of a poor offensive showing. Florida shot just 36% from the field and 22% from deep. Head coach Amanda Butler says her team needs to get better at battling through those performances.
We didn't shoot the ball like we know that we're capable of. And sometimes that affects things. When you don't see the ball go through the hole, then that impacts the way you play defense or your level of focus in other areas. And we've got to be a little bit more mentally tough than that.
Butler and the Gators will stay on the road with a date at LSU on Thursday. And I don't know if I've ever seen someone having as much fun as Denny Hamlin is having here. And that'll happen when you win the one race you've been dreaming of your whole life. The Daytona 500 in the closest finish ever in the race's 58 years. Hamlin's number 11 Toyota squeezed by Martin Truex Jr. at the finish line by 1/100th of a second. And they say football is a game of inches. It was so close, Hamlin wasn't even sure himself if he'd done it.
I didn't know we had won. I knew it was close, and so I saw the pylon change and blink at the last second with the 11, and so I heard on the radio people were all crazy excited, so I assumed we won when that happened. But if not, I was going to be pissed.
Hamlin called it the biggest win of his career, and Toyota called it the biggest in their company's history. And guys, one more stat from today I found really interesting. For the first time in 31 years, the Tennessee women's basketball team isn't ranked in the AP poll. That's a long time.
That is crazy. I feel like you just about always hear about Tennessee and women's basketball.
Absolutely.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you, Connor.
All right, Taylor, I don't know about you, but Shiba Inus are my favorite dog breed by far.
Well, Marie, while those are cute, Siberian Huskies are my favorite breed in my book, but our votes aside, Labs actually might be wagging their tails a little more these days. The American Kennel Club says Labs are in their 25th year as the top U.S. dog breed. That's the longest reign since the AKC started ranking canines in the 1880s. But some other breeds also have a lot to bark about. Beagles, Bulldogs, Golden Retrievers, and German Shepherds are also part of the top 5 breeds. To get in on our conversation, tweet us at WUFT News with your favorite dog breed.
And before we go, we'll get one last check on the weather.
Thanks, ladies. So this afternoon, partly cloudy skies, becoming mostly cloudy by the afternoon ahead of our next chance to see rain. That's going to start developing into the late evening and overnight hours, about a 20% chance of rain through midnight, 30 at 2 a.m. And as you head out the door on Tuesday, you could see rainfall in your area as you head outside. So right around 5 and 6 o'clock, we're going to see that next chance for rain start to redevelop right after midnight. So that's going to continue through about 8 o'clock, and then we have a couple rounds of rain possible throughout the day on Tuesday, even more rain by Wednesday.
Thanks, Brittany. We'll be back tomorrow at 5, but your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org.
Here on WUFT TV, BBC World News is up next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7 o'clock. Have a good night.